bed, one day you wake up in North Korea as a North Korean citizen. No big deal. Let me just do my normal routine of scrolling YouTube shorts for 3 hours. Unfortunately, you'll soon find out that every single website is blocked. You don't actually have a phone. The only thing playing on every single TV channel is the national anthem or propaganda. And your mom just said good morning to the Kim Jong-un picture on your wall. Oh my God. I gotta get out of here. Lucky for you, instead of barely having enough food to survive the next few years of this new life, I've gathered every single possible method of escaping North Korea. How you're gonna blend in while avoiding some insane laws before your escape with the family? Well, that's on you. Let's go back to the Kim Jong-un picture on the wall that your mom's been worshipping. Why is it even there? Well, it has to be. See, after Supreme Leader Kim Il-sung's death in 1994, a law was passed requiring every single household in North Korea to hang portraits of the Kim family. You have to keep these portraits extremely clean because the military will often come into your house and inspect them. And if they're not up to standard, well, there are punishments. These portraits are so important that if your house was burning down, you would be expected to save these pictures before any other thing, including your family. So just know that your parents would grab these portraits before they even grabbed you. Well, what am I supposed to wear for the escape today? There aren't many options. Since 1945, blue jeans have been banned because the Supreme Leaders thought that they were too American. Skinny pants are banned for men. If you're a woman, don't even think about wearing shorts, and piercings are banned for everyone. And don't think that you could get away with anything, because the fashion police exist in North Korea, and they're allowed to reprimand you, put you in jail, or even endgame you if they think that the dress code was violated. I guess I'm gonna wear this, but how about my hair? Same goes for the hair. The men and women of North Korea are only allowed to choose from a set of 28 state-approved hairstyles. So don't worry about people making fun of your hair, because they'll probably have a bowl cut just like you. If you're a kid, it's time to head to school, and if you're an adult, it's time to go to work, so nobody gets suspicious of your escape plan later tonight. But how do you get there? Well, since barely anyone owns a car, since the only way you're allowed to is to have it given to you by the government, you have two choices: bike or walk. Well, it looks like we're going with this one. Once you get to school, you won't learn much. All education is, of course, government run, which in theory is fine. A lot of education everywhere else in the world is also government run, except for the Kim family, where they're not going to just make you do difficult math and science, but one of the most important subjects is learning about the Kim family's history and just how great they are. You'll learn how Kim Jong-un's dad is the inventor of the hamburger, how the Kims don't need to go to the bathroom because they are perfect and never produce waste, and how the first Kim was born atop of a sacred mountain, making them the closest thing to a god. So instead of learning this, you decide to start planning out the escape. Meanwhile, if you're at work, the government decides what you do, and it's all decided by the Songbun system. But what's the Songbun system? Well, it's pretty much the thing that controls your entire life. Based on factors like family background, political loyalty, and personal behavior, you're sorted into broad categories, with various subcategories under each. So basically, think of it as your aura. If you've got massive aura, you could land in a government office, a technical position, or an urban post in Pyongyang. But low aura leads to labor in agriculture, factories, or even in remote regions. Lucky for you, your family comes from a trusted background, meaning that you've got a pretty comfortable job as a manager, meaning today there is plenty of time to plan that escape. The first ideas you have are pretty good. You consider bribing the guards around smaller towns with easy crossings into China, stowing away on ships, and even forging documents, but then you realize there's some pretty big issues with these plans. Many desperate North Koreans have paid off guards to turn a blind eye during border crossings. However, in recent years, Kim Jong-un's regime has harshly cracked down on the corrupt border guards, and the cost of the bribes have now skyrocketed, so you know this isn't going to be possible. What if I had on a ship? North Koreans have attempted escaping by boat, sailing along either the west or east coast, but unfortunately they are heavily guarded by naval patrols, and they also routinely search vessels for this very reason. Now, some people have tried swimming to avoid detection, though this is even more dangerous as the currents often drag people out to sea where they'll drown. And what if I made some fake documents? The problem is that North Korea is extremely strict with any form of travel documentation, so actually obtaining or faking these papers inside the country is nearly impossible. Even if someone does manage it, they still have to fool the highly scrutinizing border guards in North Korea, and if they do get caught, well, that's going to be the end of you. But just like that, the bells rang at the end of the school and workday, so it was time for you to head to some leisure time before coming up with your final escape plan. After school and work, there's really not much to do. Usually you would go out with your friends, but here in North Korea, that's not really looked at too nicely. And the police will probably demand that you go home. Once you are at home, well, there's nothing to really do. All the books, videos, music, and art must be vetted by the government before release. This means that, like I said at the beginning, there's no YouTube, no internet, just books about the Kim family, some low-key banger music about how awesome North Korea is, and TV shows all about the Kim family or how awful America is. And don't even think about importing secret DVDs or USB sticks with movies, because you'll probably get put in jail or even executed if they find out. So since there was nothing else to do, you decided to finalize your escape plan. Well, what if I tried to escape to Russia first? North Korea's border with Russia is extremely short and also heavily monitored on both sides. Sometimes people try to cross the Tumen River where North Korea, China, and Russia converge. If they make it into Russia, the hope is to find an embassy that will help them get to a safer country. But generally, Russia will give you right back to North Korea even if you're found without papers, and traveling through Russia's vast Far East is extremely risky. Not only because of the nature, but also because North Korea operates labor sites inside of this part of Russia. Well, how about I use my job status or wait for a work trip? Now, these tactics are more reliable. Rich or well-connected individuals often work for the military, state businesses, or are sent abroad for study or athletics. The government still tries to prevent them from defecting by leaving their children, relatives, or spouses in North Korea, essentially holding them as leverage. And if you happen to be one of the few with official clearance to travel overseas, you already leave North Korea legally. So the main challenge is slipping away from your colleagues. From there, you can contact a South Korean embassy or request asylum directly. But the danger is that the handlers sent with you watch you closely and every single move. Any sign of disloyalty could lead to abduction back to Pyongyang and North Korea. And unfortunately for you, right now your job isn't high enough status, so only two options remain. Well, why don't I just cross directly into South Korea? The Korean DMZ lies between the North and South Korean border, but it's far from demilitarized. It's one of the most heavily fortified places on Earth, with landmines, electric fences, and soldiers on high alert from both sides. And crossing here as a civilian is almost impossible. You'd likely get shot, blown up, electrocuted, or any other thing you could possibly think of. But one slight exception is that if you're actually a soldier stationed there, you might catch a tiny window of opportunity to run across, but even then, despite this happening before, it's almost impossible for you, so there's only one option left. It was now nighttime and people had begun going to sleep. Packing up your bags and leaving your house, you've decided that your best option was to take the Chinese path across one of two rivers, the Yalu or Tumen. Most defectors prefer the Tumen River as it's narrower and shallower, but this route is heavily guarded by North Korean soldiers, sometimes hiding in trenches waiting to shoot anyone attempting to cross. So instead, you decided to use the Yalu, making it into China, but you're still not safe. China does not recognize North Koreans as refugees and usually sends them back if caught, so you'll need to use Asia's Underground Railroad. Good thing I saved enough money to pay these brokers, otherwise things could have been bad. After crossing into China and meeting up with the brokers, defectors rely on a secret network of safe houses and guides to traverse all the way to Southeast Asia. Once there, countries like Thailand will send North Korean escapees to South Korea or other Western countries. However, getting to Thailand